Right, we're live.
We are live from live.
Live from our house. So this is our new podcast, GenMillen-Z. You want to explain the name a little?
Yeah, GenMillen-Z. The idea of the podcast is going to be like two people of Generation Z and a millennial. This is Chris, by the way.
I'm Logan. That's neither of our first names. He's Christian and I'm Isaac. But yeah, Chris and Logan.
And so again, like we said, GenMillen-Z, it's generational, millennial, Generation Z. Just what we think about life and the different perspectives that we have.
Yeah, I think, like one of the key talking points is that we're from different generations. You know, like we generally see, like a lot of like stereotyped ideals fitting within each generation. So it kind of like combining people from two different worlds, if you want to say that. So that's like a key point that I would say, two perspectives.
Yeah, two perspectives, and then a lot of times one perspective goes into the other, and that's like, oh no, that's a millennial perspective. Like, actually, it's Gen Z right there.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of we like it to be just a free form conversation between just two people of those two different generations, as we've said like 10 times already. But
yeah, and
you know.
And in the future too, if you're watching this, you could be a guest if you're from a different generation.
Oh,
even more perspectives. Yeah. I think like perspectives.
Some boomers.
No.
Some boomies.
No boomers. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, boomers. Sign up to get on the podcast. But no, yeah, I would say perspectives is one of those things that could draw people together and draw like humans together as a whole, because you kind of learn that you do have a lot of similarities with other people with opposing views if you just hear them out, Yeah, it's kind of a unifying thing.
Yeah.
So I like that we're basing the podcast off perspective and discussion of those perspectives.
Because I mean, everyone's heard their mom or dad be like, back in my day, and I'm like, honestly getting to the point where like I'm starting to feel like that in some certain circumstances, and then like I have to check myself and like I hated when people said that. Said that to me. It's so annoying.
Yeah, I'm younger too, and I'm like kind of getting those things like the other day because I'm moving to Austin. I'll touch a little more on that in a little, but we started shopping for plates and stuff, and I got a little excited too. And I was like, that's how I know I'm getting old, when I just got excited over silverware and plates.
Look at the depth of this bowl,
dude. We were literally obsessed with that bowl in Target. Yeah, that's how.
And it wasn't even a bowl; it was like a salad dish or something. Whatever.
I don't know, but yeah. So I'm moving to Austin. I'll be closer to Christian. He's in College Station.
Yeah, I live in College Station right now. A cool thing about that. So another thing for me is that I actually waited a lot of years after graduating high school to go back to college. So
I respect you for that.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not gonna lie, like there are certain times like, like I love myself some self-deprecation. So like I'll be like, I'm 28 years old and nothing to show for. Actually, funny. I'm joking. Obviously, I'm just messing around.
Yeah.
But it's funny because there's that. I don't know. Like maybe this is a before millennial generation thing. But the movie Tommy Boy with Chris Farley.
You're talking to Gen Z.
I know, but maybe you saw it. You saw it. So there's a scene in the movie. I guess it's not going to be funny because I'm explaining it, but I'm going to say it anyway. Yeah. So there's a scene in the movie where Chris Farley's character, like if you know who Chris Farley is, people millennial and before me, like you'll know the character that he played, but he played he was a goofball, like, not necessarily so smart, but just kind of lovable and real animated with his body and super goofy. And so in this movie, he was in college for 8 years because he's basically a flunky, just too many rips from the bong, so to speak. And he finally graduates college, and he's so happy because he gets a D. Like, he gets a D, and he's like, I graduated, right? So he's happy. He comes home, and his his dad's kind of like rich or whatever, so he has this assistant, and it's David Spade. He comes up to him and he's like, I can't remember exactly what it is right now, but the joke is, he goes, you must be nice, like, you took a long time in school. And he goes, Richard, plenty of people go to school for 8 years. And then David Spade's like, yeah, they're called doctors. So, like,
yeah.
That's
so you're there, but you're not a doctor.
Exactly.
No, but I always tell Mom about this too. Like, the thing about Christian is the path you took. When did you go back? 24? When you were 25?
Yeah. Yeah.
So most people when they're 24, 25 and no degree, like that's it. Like they think that's it. Like there's no other option. Community college is their only option, which also is a good option, but they think like that's it. I'm pretty much confined. But you literally went in at 25 and got into like the 21st ranked college out of like 2,000 colleges in America. So it just shows you that you can do it. And it by far wasn't easy. You didn't just walk right in, right?
Mm-hmm.
You had to go through Blinn Community College, right? To get in.
I mean, I decided to do that because I wanted to set myself a little better. Like I hadn't been in school for, how many years at that point?
18,
a lot of years.
6 years. 6 years of no school. So
yeah, and so I needed remedial, and so I went to the community college there, Blinn, and transferred over to A&M. So
yeah,
but yeah, I mean, what I did for a while was work in real estate, and like that's a whole different perspective, because like I wanted to go back to school because I hated initially having like a minimum wage job. Like just right out of
real estate's minimum?
No. I'm going into there.
Oh, okay.
And so like me hating having a minimum wage job was like the motivation for me to like get my real estate license and kind of start working that way. But I guess I just didn't want to be in sales my whole life ultimately. And like I didn't like no disrespect on sales by any means. Like we have tons of family members that like do very, very well for themselves, but there was just this kind of, what I'm trying to get at is, by the time I decided to go back to school, like I had all of the requisite experiences to like have me be motivated for wanting to stay in school and be in school for what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, and we'll talk a lot more about stuff like that too.
Yeah, so like to draw that together, what would you say, like, because there's people out there that in your position don't see any way out of it, but find your motivation to do it? Is that what you would say? Like, what kind of pushed you to do that? Because I will say not a lot of people do that. You probably just look at it as something you just did, that whatever, but no, I think it's pretty special. So like, what do you think drove you to get there?
Well, I guess it's just you have to adopt a mindset of just like being interested in what else is out there ultimately.
Yeah.
Like if you get caught up in anything really, like take whatever you're really caught up in, whether that be like what job you have, what interpersonal like relationships you have, if you have like drama going on with you, or whatever it is, like ultimately, literally anything in the world. Like if you're just really focused on that, I think that's where you get the tendency to get sucked in by something like that. And so, shoot, like it's kind of like it's kind of hard for you, because like you said, like it was something that I just did, I just decided
you really did
that I wanted to go. It was always something, I think, not to get a little too introspective here, but I think it's always something that I wanted to do. And
go to college?
And I was just kind of being lazy.
You were lazy. There's not 100%, kind of 100%. Just like own it. I think that's another thing. Like I really think I always talk to Mom about this is like, I think the easiest way to set yourself free is owning the things that you know deep down inside.
So
and you owned it. You were lazy, but are you now?
Yeah.
A little bit.
I mean, I'm still most definitely. There's always going to be that lazy streak in me.
For sure.
So I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head perfectly when you said, you just have to own it. Like, just be honest with yourself, and that's what it was, right? Like, I'm being lazy. Like, I'm in some way trying to take the easy way out. It's still not easy, right? Like, nothing is insanely easy, but I guess that's one step. Like, just ask yourself, one, like, be interested in more than what you currently are interested in, and that's kind of hard and maybe seems like circular reasoning, but it's the truth. Like, if you want to achieve more, you have to be interested in more ultimately. And really just be honest with yourself about what you want. Like, in my case, it was the fact that I was being lazy, and that I just didn't want to apply myself. Like, I was always interested in the STEM fields. Like, it was always something that
intrigued you.
Yeah, that caught my attention. But it's hard. Like, it takes a lot of devotion to your studies, and quite frankly, that's not really something that we experience from high school, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well,
in a lot of cases.
Yeah, I would say because I'm in the IB program at my school, I would say I think I did kind of get that experience. I think I got a college experience pre-college, which I do look back on, like, maybe not a little too fondly, but at the end of the day, it shaped me into who I am today. And like I said earlier, own who you are today with the hopes of changing who you can be tomorrow. That's like the way I live my life. So, like, for instance, I'd rather be unaware douche, which I don't think I'm a douche, but I hope I'm not.
He's totally a douche.
Shut up.
Just kidding.
Nah, but
he's not a douche.
I'd rather be an aware douche than an unaware douche, because at least if you're aware, you have some type of hope for fixing who you are tomorrow. Like I said, probably one of my greatest quotes: be aware who you are today so that you could possibly change who you are tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, know thyself ultimately. Like, know where you're coming from, most definitely, and that's just great advice for anything, like, period. Is know what you are, know who you are, know thyself. Mm-hmm. And so I mean, advice for people who want something more: be honest with yourself and
key on the be honest.
Seek more. Like, always look for more. And it doesn't, like, it's hard to give, like, exact. It's a very abstract idea, right? Like, what does it mean? Like, seek more, look for more. Like, for me, like, I'm a big sci-fi nerd, and so
just a nerd. Yeah, just a nerd in general. Yeah,
but sci-fi specifically. Yeah. And so the concept of maybe going to space one day for me, or just maybe even me not going to space, but just human beings being like a spacefaring race in general. Like, it's always something that interested me.
Yeah, you've always been interested in that as far as I can remember.
And so, and I think a lot of people are right now too, like, especially with, like, how popular just
Elon Musk. Let's just
Weeblon.
Yeah.
Our Lord and Savior.
Yeah.
But anyway, and so that was one big thing for me, right? It was always keeping my interest. It's like, okay, like, if that's something that I want to do, then I'd have to be in some field that'll give me that knowledge, like, which ultimately would led me going into physics. Just because I wanted that deeper understanding. And if I'm, like, trying to conceptualize right now, like, what it was that finally pushed me over the edge of going back into school, it was just exactly that. Like, I wanted to know what the underlying, like, physical interactions of our world were, and even now, like, people ask me all the time, like, why are you getting a physics degree? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, are you a cyborg?
You're a tryhard.
You're a tryhard. Yeah, ultimately.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's to me, like the only answer that I give, like, and it's the true answer, is just like I just want to know. I want to know about. I want to know how our world works.
Yeah.
Like I want to know why things happen the way that they do, and that's after coming off of like minimum wage jobs into like real estate, which was super fun because I got to hang out with a lot of people and talk to a lot of people, meet a bunch of different people, and like you're helping them into probably one of the most important purchases of their life.
Yeah.
And so like that's really fun, but it never really left my mind that I wanted to know how stuff worked, you know? Like I wanted to know like what the heck's electricity? Like what the hell is gravity? Like you know, what really is it? Is it something? Like is it something that I could define that way? Like what is gravity?
Yeah.
Or whatever. Like there were so many questions that I had that I wanted to be answered. And so coming back into to our whole perspective of like just know thyself, just be honest with yourself, like
what do you want?
Those are the questions that I was asking, you know? Like, and it eventually just came to a realization that it's just like, yeah, like if I'm asking these questions, I need to go back to school. And just don't be afraid to go back, because I was scared. Like I didn't know, like, oh shoot, like I haven't been to school in 6 years. Do I even remember how to divide anymore? Like,
yeah.
Do I like what's 4 over 3? Like, whatever. Math, like obviously I was more interested in like the mathematics side because like I was going into physics and like that was a little bit more important for me. But ultimately, like the route that I chose, and this is a route that you can choose for yourself if you're interested in going, as we talked about it before, like start off at a community college, get your remedial stuff done, and then transfer into like a 4-year institution if that's really what you want to do. Yeah. But there are plenty of options, and just know that there are other people going through the same thing that you're going through, and it's all doable.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. So moral of the story, just ask yourself, what do you want? And be honest with who you are. And there's underlying things in your life. Just find what they are and pursue them. So, yeah, I would say that's good. So, I was going to say, yeah, we were talking about how we're going to pursue the podcast too when you go back to College Station, back to A&M. And I'll be in Austin attending UT Austin. So, yeah, we'll probably set up a little nice studio. You guys won't be looking at our dark house. We'll have like some cool lighting, you know. Set that up. What do you think you would want for like, you know, the set and stuff?
I'm really easy to please.
Easy to please.
Yeah.
So I'm set designer basically.
Yeah. He's the master of aesthetics and general, like everything that's gonna make this podcast great. It's gonna be coming.
Yeah, it's basically me. Yeah.
No. I'm just a windbag that loves to hear himself talk. But we all do, in some certain sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, lights. We got our mics.
And the other thing too? It's like a lot of people ask me, because like I've told a couple of people about the podcast. It's like the question me and you are always gonna get is, what do we want from this? Like, why are we doing this podcast? And I don't know. You could answer but for me anyways, it's like podcasting isn't the place you go to become like rich and famous, you know. There's like a good platform that can be gained from it, but at the end of the day, it really is just to pursue conversation and perspective, like we were saying earlier for the introduction. Perspective, it's like a free excuse to talk and gain intelligence from somebody else, and hopefully gain another thought or idea, and then with the added bonus of like involving other people into the conversation, you know, down the line. That's really what it is for me.
Honestly, my answer is a little bit more personal. It's actually like nothing that I've really even mentioned to you yet, but I'm really doing it to get closer to you, to tell you the truth.
For real?
Yeah, like 100%.
Bro, our mom's behind the camera. She's all happy.
Yeah, and it kind of fits in with our theme because like millennials right now, like me, I'm 28. Like in a couple of years, I'm gonna be 30, and you know a lot of millennials are born in I think the cutoff's like 85.
Yeah.
For millennials, and so you know a lot of millennials are going into their like late 30s even at this point, and so for me, I have another brother and two other sisters that I grew up with, and I've been gone at school for a while, like just kind of getting my life together and experiencing everything that I'm going through, and like there's been a distance like that's grown between me and all of my siblings, and like I want my family back.
I get you.
I want my family.
Yeah, and later down the line, like, cause I know it's like fresher and like how that happened. So we'll go further into that maybe down the line when it's like a little less sore. But I would say that there never really was distance between us. I feel like the distance was always normal, and this is like something like if any parents are watching, like, and your kids aren't close, I really think age just closed that gap. Because we were pretty much, and most people are at different points in their lives with certain ages, and I feel like we're just slowly coming closer and closer. Because like the gap between ages starts to thin out with like experience.
Yeah.
So when we're only 10 years apart, right? So when I'm 7, you're 17, a 7-year-old and a 17-year-old.
Yeah, there's not going to be much.
There is pretty much nothing there.
Yeah.
Like one's the bigger one, one's the younger one. But then once you become 37 and 47 or 47 and 57,
yeah,
the gap of knowledge, experience, and wisdom starts to close slowly,
Yeah, most definitely.
So I would say that's something too that's important to any, like, repairing any relationship between, or not repairing, but even building in our case. Because I feel like nothing was ever broken. Sometimes something just needs to be built.
Yeah, most definitely, and that's why I mentioned that there was distance there, like geographical distance, like like.
Oh yeah. Even when you lived here, though.
Age distance, like just it wasn't
distance.
Yeah, and you said it perfectly that it wasn't. It had nothing to do with anything being broken. It was just
about building something.
Now is the time where we have this opportunity, and like we've been having those conversations more that like are interesting to you and interesting to me, interesting to both of us enough to where you like came up to me and you're like, let's make a podcast, and I'm like, okay, yeah, perfect.
This is like the tip of the iceberg, guys. Like, I genuinely hope whoever's watching stays like for a while. You will genuinely hear some of like the weirdest, probably most different conversations you ever had, and that's like really, really why this is something I'd want to do with you, because our topics really range, and I think this is like a credit to our mom who's behind the screen. It's really a credit to her, like, how comfortable we are with expressing our opinions. Like, we can jump from anything from like sex, physics, drugs, the way the universe works, like, stuff. Sometimes people like sex and drugs. Sometimes people don't really want to talk about that because they're afraid how it might make them look.
There's a stigma.
But they want to talk. Like, it's interesting. It's like something that everybody's had a crossroads with.
It's on everyone's mind, most definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why it's like down the line, it'll just be some topics way out there, way in here, way on this side. So yeah.
Most definitely.
Yeah. Just excuse my mom crying behind the camera because her sons are close. No. But yeah.
I wish we gotta get that. We have once we're still running on the beta setup right now. So once we have like,
bro, it's fire. What are you talking about?
It's beta fire. It's beta. No, but we gotta have our like audience camera, so we could have like given a shot of her face right now.
Nah, for sure. Mom's in the next one, dude. Yeah, for sure. Like, she's pretty much the reason any of this is here right now.
Her face, it's like a
tomato. Dude, chill. Stop crying. You're gonna like break the camera with your tears. Chill. Nah,
What's funnier is that they don't like. We could just be talking to like the microwave right now.
Yeah, you guys don't know.
No
You guys do not know. We're just faking it for viewership. You know? No.
Anyway, but yeah, so I think that was a good. I think that was a good intro.
Yeah, that was the intro,
right? Or was that episode
See,
one?
Hey guys, concludes our podcast. I'm Logan.
I'm Chris.
And that'll be all. Here's my socials. Here's his. Peace out.
Episode 0. Sad boy cries into mic about his life. Episode 0.
It was pretty.